Welcome to another episode of the Lightspeed Investing Podcast. I've got a Sooner alum from Oklahoma. How are you doing today, Leslie?
Hey, I'm doing great, Phil. It's great to be here and Boomer Sooner.
That's right. Are you actually in Oklahoma right now, or are you in another state?
No, when I graduated university, I moved to the Houston area
Hmm.
because that's at that time was the petroleum center of the world.
So you're South Midwest.
Yes,
And
yes.
I'm excited to bring you on today because you have a very compelling story and background, right? As someone who was a college athlete on the swim team, right? You were able to take a lot of lessons from athletics to incorporate it into business to make sure that you have sustained success, since business is a very competitive sport in and out of itself. So I'm super excited to introduce you to the audience today and let them kind of get an understanding of what your journey was, right? That took you from, a young woman in a field where it was very heavily male dominated, right? To then, I think, leaving a very stable career into entrepreneurship, but having that confidence to do so because you had that discipline, and rigor from the athletic training.
Yes, thank you. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to share. I have thought a lot about, in our previous conversation, I thought a lot about the fact that I've just made pivots. I believed in myself. The reason I ended up as a swimmer is
Mm.
because I'm the oldest of five. So I'm married. I have two amazing girls and two grandchildren. But my journey towards being an entrepreneur started because my parents put us in swimming to keep us out of trouble. Because when you have five kids, children that are all a couple of years apart, there was always someone to get in trouble with. So,
Sure.
they wanted to keep us off the street. So I, that was how I ended up being a swimmer and really excelling at it, primarily because I had a coach. I had somebody to mentor me, and he taught me early on how to set goals and how to compete against myself.
That's so important. It at the very beginning, it was a concept that I had to learn to pivot into because you're always looking at the competition outside, right? So you're trying to compete with other people. But when you understand that you are the only competition out there, it's you versus you, and at the same time as you and you, right? If you focus on just getting a minimum of 1% better every single day, it does not matter what others are doing, right? Because it's about being your best self.
Yes, it's so interesting because I am, as an entrepreneur, involved in the skincare, longevity, wellness space. And one of the
Hmm.
people I was coaching was asking me, or I was talking to, was asking me, what's your biggest competition? And thinking, I know he thought I was going to say XYZ company. And I said, the 6 inches between your ears, or seven, depending on how large your head is. And that's really the truth. Being an entrepreneur is a mindset, personal growth, business growth journey.
No, I love that. It's so funny because I just got out of a recent live call with one of my mentors, where the prevailing theme is there's only defeat, right? If you wind up dead or not existing in this current realm or universe, right? So which means
Right.
that the only defeat that you can possibly experience, right, is self-imposed. It's psychological, and it's only psychological, right? And if you are able to understand that at a deeper level, then you're able to handle any ups and downs that life and ultimately entrepreneurship may throw at you.
You reminded me. I don't know, isn't it interesting when you're just having a conversation with someone how weird stuff pops in your head? But I remember when I was growing up, my mother used to say to me, "You're your own worst enemy," and I think
Hmm.
most people are. And by that, she meant any negative self-talk or the belief that you couldn't do it. And I really am very blessed that both of my parents, my mother and father, really encouraged doing, pursuing things, being curious, being self-sufficient, all of those things. So it's a lot of things came together to help me pivot from being an athlete to being corporate to then being an entrepreneur. Do you want me to share?
Yeah, no, I do, because your story is super incredible. I mean, especially when you told me how back in the day, right, when you enrolled into Oklahoma, you went for a really specified degree, and hence you got yourself into a very male dominant field, where you were making really good salary for that time. And
Hmm.
then on, but as opposed to just, I would say, staying comfortable and complacent. After that, you then decided to muster up the confidence to do your own thing, right? So I thought that was quite incredible, and I definitely would
It's
love for you to elaborate on it.
Well, it's really kind of funny when you think about it because I actually initially enrolled to be a physical therapist because I wanted to help people. And being an athlete, I thought, well, that would be a good field because there's always someone getting injured. But it was a very new field, and it was too disorganized for me. And I ended up getting involved in the business school. And then my father was in the petroleum industry as an engineer, and there was a relatively new degree called petroleum land management. I ended up enrolling in that and am like the fifth or sixth female to get that degree. Only a couple of universities in the US offer that. So
Right.
it would be specific to like the University of Texas and the University of Oklahoma. And so but also at the same time, Phil, I was swimming my freshman year. I swam on the men's swim team because there was no women's swimming, and then Title IX came along. So I didn't really look at it like this is mostly men. I just, very close to my father. He was always had a great sense of humor, very well thought of, highly respected, all of those things. So I'm like, well, I think the petroleum industry, because at the time I was younger, high school, junior high and high school, Tulsa was the oil capital of the world, and that's where I grew
Mm.
up. So it was like kind of baked in that the petroleum industry would be a good place to get a degree. So that's I ended up graduating with it's a business degree plus geology, engineering, and law. I know it sounds um, when you say it, it sounds like that's kind of a crazy combination, and it was, but it was necessary to do that type of work. And I have to
Hmm.
clarify for any listeners that have seen the series. I have not seen the series Landman on Netflix, but I have to laugh because one of my brothers is an attorney, and he and I got a good laugh about how it's not true to life, like a lot of police shows and medical shows, which I'm sure you
Yeah,
are
yeah, it's
not true
true.
to life. That it's good. I understand it's really good. He said, I love it. It's great entertainment. But he said to me, I'm pretty sure my sister never did some of those things.
Yeah, and obviously for you, right, growing up in a household of five children, were you the only daughter? It was that
No,
in the.
I'm the
Oh, I see.
oldest, though. I'm the
Right.
oldest, three girls, two boys.
Three girls. Gotcha.
Yeah. So,
I kind of was wondering maybe if growing up in a household where you had a lot of brothers, I didn't know if that was the case or not. That may have allowed you to thrive even more, right, when you got into
yeah.
this unique space.
Well, also, I didn't really. I mean, you're exactly right. I was competing in a world where not a lot of women were, but then I had a coach that, uh, understanding that when we practiced in junior high and high school, it was mixed. It was girls and boys.
Hmm.
And my coach at the YMCA, the Young Men's. We swam at the Young Men's Christian Association. It wasn't open to women at the time, but he always said the girls swim faster to beat the boys, and the boys swim faster so the girls won't beat them. And he was 100% right. Now we all competed. I only competed against women, and the boys only competed against boys. But that was true what he said. So I didn't look at it. I mean, my times, in my stroke, in my event, were faster than my brothers. In that,
Mm,
none of us had the same event, if you understand. Like,
gotcha.
I was a backstroker. One of my brothers was a breaststroker. One was a freestyler. So I was accustomed to competing. I think
Mm,
that's probably made the difference. I've long thought about how thankful I am my parents did that to keep us out of trouble, because it ended up serving me through my journey in corporate, but especially as an entrepreneur, because what I said is learning to compete against yourself, like being a little bit better every day, because you're swimming against the clock, you're swimming to beat your best time, you're also on a team. But I've been very grateful, because learning how to set goals, learning how to hit targets, it may not seem like that would be a correlation, but it 100% is.
hmm. That's great. And I mean, I would imagine for you when you took that leap, especially earlier in those days where you don't have social media, you don't have the ability to just go and listen to podcasts, right, or check out a YouTube channel for advice. Um, did you heavily rely on your gut and instincts, or did you understand the importance of coaches and mentorship so that prior to like doing your own thing, you made sure you had some of those things in place?
That's it. No, I would say you're 100% right, because now you could go and find people to mentor you. I mean, it's
Hmm.
free. It's one of the things I learned when I worked with Tony Robbins, was the modeling. But without the
Mm.
internet and having a degree in business, it was the hubris of a young person, young woman. I have a degree in business. I should be able to start a business. And I laugh now, because I learned pretty early on that they taught me in business school how to work for someone else, not how to evaluate a business, not how to um, basically not how to work for yourself, but how to work for someone else.
In a
And
very structured manner, right?
yes, like
Hmm.
on their schedule, like
Yep.
when you could do this and when you could do that. I probably had more freedom, because I did, I got to the executive level at a very young age because of timing.
Mm.
And that's one thing about business. Business is all about timing, just like real estate, investing. I mean, it's timing. I opened the first Pilates studio in the Houston area, and it cracks me up, because people, like 99% of people go, "Oh my God, that's amazing." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, no, it wasn't. No one had heard of Pilates." It's like, when you learn in business that if you're educating people to a need, you're not making money. You want to, if you're looking at a business, you really want to market to the masses. So it was a whole learning process. 6 months into my entrepreneur journey, I got involved in direct sales at the same time. So I'm working full time, going to work in the dark. I called it going to work in the dark, coming home in the dark, working weekends. I call it working eight to faint. And that's what prompted me to say, I need to be in business for myself. This is ridiculous. Of course, when you're in business for yourself, a lot of times you go to work in the dark, come home in the dark, and work weekends, but
Right.
at least it's for you.
But that
right?
there's a difference there, right? And I was gonna say, because like when you were going through the structured rigor, right, of the current career that you were immersed with, why was it not fulfilling versus when you were working for yourself?
Because I really wanted to have in a corporate position like 2 weeks of vacation. I don't know what's up with the US with that. And I had worked up to maybe 3 or 4 by that time. I was in my late 20s, but I wanted to travel. I wanted to help people, hence why I had originally started in physical therapy as a career. I wanted to spend more time with my family, and I felt like I wasn't in control of my own time.
Mm.
And so that that really is what prompted it. I need to be in business for myself. And I will also say that because I went far fast and I did make a lot of money compared to my peers, um, that I said to myself, okay, I'm not going to get where I want to go by 40, so I better start a business. And that really was as much thought as I put into it. Now, in today, I did start another venture in my mid 50s,
Mm.
but that is following people that I knew could mentor me, that would be good partners. I mean, you just, you learn as you earn, and hopefully you do fail forward. That's the key.
Mm-hmm.
Like life is never, it's like a rocket ship to the moon. People think it's a straight trajectory. It's not. They're course correcting constantly.
That's when you're talking to someone with substance, right? Because I've heard that many times over, where in entrepreneurship is not necessarily linear. It looks more like you know, but you're still headed like towards higher heights where your old highs become new lows, but they're not necessarily like roller coasters, but you will have dips, right, before you
Mhm.
go back up, and then you dip again, and you kind of adjust from there.
If I had a whiteboard, one of the things that impacted me the most in my journey, one of my mentors was Paul J. Meyer. When he passed away, and maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, he was a multi-billionaire. Still is. His companies are still in business. He passed that legacy on, and that's part of what I'm wanting to do, is pass the legacy on to my family. He drew on the whiteboard. So he drew a mountaintop, and what he showed us, he drew a whole bunch of mountaintops, but he showed us that at the base of the first mountain, you cannot see the last mountain until you get to the top, and then but you have to go, you go down to go back
Mm-hmm.
up. So what you're saying is, there's ups and downs. Hopefully the goal is if you measure all the mountaintops, it looks like a straight line, but it's never a straight line. So it's a
And
good visual.
yeah, yeah, and you know what's funny? When you did go into entrepreneurship for yourself, did you feel like you needed 3 weeks of vacation?
No.
Because what you were doing was already so fun, right? As a matter of
Yeah,
fact, do you think you took 3 weeks of vacation when you started working for yourself a year?
I don't know, I call them workations. I
That's
work.
right. That's
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And it's funny, people have asked me, when are you going to retire? I'm like, what do you mean? Retire?
You really
Well,
don't.
when
You
are you going
really
to
don't.
retire? I'm like, well, so what am I retiring from? I help
Right.
people. I help them look their best. I help them
That's right.
feel their best. I help them make money. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, what am I retiring from? So one of my sisters asked me, and she's in pretty intense field, nuclear power. And she goes, well, I'm going to retire. And I started laughing. I said, well, I get why you want to retire, but
Right. Right.
I like work and play around the world. So
Yeah.
why would I change that?
Well, when you're blessed to find the thing that you really want to go after, right?
Mhm.
To really just grow and contribute, because that's what I think all souls really appreciate and thrive off of. The need to escape, right, is no longer there. So, I like, for example, I always tell my team as an executive, I work part time, full time, and overtime. But at the same time, I do not work at all.
Yeah.
And that's because we love the markets, we love helping people with their investing acumen. But on top of that, right, it's the fact that when you do something that you enjoy and you do it with people that you enjoy being around, time flies. And the stress that naturally comes from doing something that you don't enjoy, that's, I think, what will compound into, hey, like, let me get an escape from this, right?
Right.
But when you are every single day able to really live out of fulfillment, it's a different sensation in that regards.
Yes. Yeah. No, I agree with you. I have learned to, when I travel somewhere, if it's for a conference or it's to work with a team of people and to help them and do training, I've learned to take an extra day to enjoy, to explore the city or the country or wherever I am. So I have learned
Yep.
that that is also, that's why I call it working and playing around the world.
That I love that, because for me, when I travel for business, is business first, but then basketball second. So I don't necessarily care as much about the tourism per se, but more so applied to basketball courts.
Well,
Uh,
I have to throw this in here. I uh, my husband's from North Carolina. I had never heard of a Tar Heel. No clue what that was. He is a huge Tar Heel fan. So if you're a basketball fan, you know what that is. So a few years ago, Oklahoma University and University of North Carolina played each other, and they were here in Houston. We weren't sure
oh,
quite
okay.
what to do. Yes, for the College World Series. So, or
Oh, I see. For
college,
the
whatever that is.
the yeah,
I
the baseball.
no, it wasn't baseball. That's College World Series. Was the basketball
Oh, I see.
March Madness. So he's a Tar Heel for and a huge basketball fan. So
Were you rooting for the Sooners as loud as you possibly can,
as loud as
and
I
you
could.
and you let him know about it?
Yo, yeah, he knew about it. We had fun with it. We
That's
had to
great.
decide ahead of time that we were going to celebrate no matter who won. So
Hmm.
it ended up being either way we won because one of our
What
teams
did
won.
you do to celebrate?
I think we did something simple like go and get ice cream or,
Oh, okay.
just, and that really is a tip for anyone who's in business or an entrepreneur is you can't just wait to celebrate the big things. You've got to celebrate
Hmm.
all types of things along the way. It keeps it fresh and it keeps you moving forward.
Is there a success principle from being on the swim team and being a college athlete and doing all that, right, that has stuck with you, that where you're like, I pretty much use this day in and day out, right? Well,
Um, I would say the success principle is I don't know that I like the phrase stay in my own lane,
uh-huh.
but it's because I want to go outside of the lanes, but it's the concept of competing against yourself,
Mm,
of of like don't compare because thief comparison is the thief of joy, I guess is where I'm
yes.
going. And so
Yes.
you can't, like when my husband and I helped launch a company 14 years ago and we had massive success fast, and I always told people, but I'm in my chapter like 25.
Yeah, don't
you're in
compare
you're
chapters.
in your
Yeah.
chapter 1.
Right,
So
right, right.
it's not the same, even though we all start together. It's not the same because
Right.
so you've got to compete. That really is competing against the clock because I was always competing to beat my best time. Because, Phil, there
Mm-hmm.
were times when I might have lost the race, but I swam my best time and I won. I
Mm.
won because the way swimming works is it has a season just like basketball, and you start out the season and you actually swim tired all season because you're working out so hard, and then you peak, you taper off. So the goal is if you're beating your time, even if you get beat, it doesn't matter till the end of the year, till you're at the
Mm.
championship, till that race happens. So
Gotcha.
I
Gotcha.
really think that working to be
Yeah.
a little bit better
Sure.
every day, even if it's 1/100th of a second, because I've won races by 1/100th of a second where no one knew
Mm.
who really won until you looked at the
You
timing
look at the
board
yeah, and the film.
at the board. They
Mm-hmm.
always had there's a pad underwater right there if you've ever noticed that they touch, and that's what stops the clock.
Mm. Gotcha. No, but it's the competition within the competition, right? Basically,
Mhm.
and all you're saying is, well, in my case, it's the same concept as a Mamba mentality, right? From the late great Kobe Bryant, in the sense of just focus on getting better, how you can get better
Mhm.
compared to the version of you yesterday, and it's
Yes.
like it's like a software update, right? It's like Leslie version 3.0 as opposed
Or
to
or
2.0, right?
yes. Or Chat GPT version
Yes,
4.0, and it's
that's
like
right. That's right.
so and you could spend all day long yelling at chat, but really it's you. It's what are you inputting into the
Hmm.
system, right?
Now, are you still swimming today, just even for fun, for leisure, or
No,
no?
no. I actually, so you'll laugh because I actually started doing yoga maybe 25 years ago or so, and I kept hurting myself. I was like, I'm gonna figure this out because I mean, I wasn't just doing stretching yoga, I was doing very physical yoga. And the reason I was hurting myself is because, like, when you're competing and swimming, you're in a lane, you can see the people next to you, and it spurs you on. And in yoga,
Uh huh.
yoga and business to me is the biz lessons from yoga. I actually used to my Facebook it actually still does say, I think, biz coach Leslie, but I used to do biz lessons from yoga because you've got to
Mm.
focus on your own practice. And once I did that and I pushed to my edge, I have a saying from yoga because in business, you don't, you want to always be pushing the edges of your comfort zone. But it's like yoga. You don't want to hurt yourself, but you want to push the edges or you never get any better. So I love yoga because it makes me focus, stay centered, do my own practice. It's a great reminder. And besides, one day my husband told me, because we worked together, and one day I said, "Oh my gosh, I need to go to yoga, but I don't really have time." He goes, "You need to go to yoga." I said, "Why is that?" He said, "Because you're a different person when you come home."
Oh yeah, he enjoys yoga Leslie way better than non-yoga Leslie. I can resonate with that. That makes sense. You're probably a little bit less sassy and just
Yes,
more.
a little bit less sassy, a little more chill.
Yeah.
And then I live in a beautiful area where I can walk. So I walk with weights and a weighted vest. And so
Mm, that sounds
those
nice.
things, yeah,
I
those
love working out. That's why I love Kansas so much. So I have two homes now after visiting West Michigan for my military boot camp training of
hmm
for basketball. And so, I love here because we have Chiefs Fit where you get to train like the pros. You get to do a lot of turf workouts, which helps a lot more than traditional workouts in the weight rooms because it minimizes the tension on your knees. So then you can just do more,
Oh,
and it really
interesting.
it really translates. I mean, the explosion, the explosiveness, the fast twitch, all that just translates to the court way more
Yeah,
seamlessly. When you work on the turf.
I learned from swimming, so I actually probably have slow twitch muscles, mostly because I was a 200 individual medley and 200-meter backstroke,
Okay.
and my splits were almost identical.
Hmm.
So most people, it's they go out faster, come home slower. So,
Gotcha.
but
Gotcha. And were you always inclined to do the longer style as opposed to the shorter bursts?
it was just what I excelled at.
Oh,
I
I see.
think, it isn't that a key in life and business is
Hmm.
figure out your strengths and then work towards them.
Self awareness, knowing what your skill sets are, and really like
And
committing
then
to making them great.
and then surrounding yourself with people that complement your strengths.
Yeah, yeah. Having that village. Everything takes a village, regardless of
Yes.
what industry you're in, right?
Yes. It's
Yeah.
true.
No, that's great. I love it. Uh, Leslie, it was a pleasure having you on. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for sharing success principles from your athletic journey that you feel like translates the most to business. And if anyone listening would like to get a hold of you, what is their best way to contact you and have a further conversation?
The best way is to go to lesliehocker.com, and that is LESLIEHOCKER. And there's a form that, I mean, you could just put in your info and I'll get with you. But also, I have something that would be fun for people, and it's an assessment because as a lifeguard and a swimmer, I had solid discoloration, lots of
Hmm.
it, and skin damage. So I have a free, intelligent skin scan for people that give them tips on what they should be using. And also, I have a free uh, PDF on how to build confidence, how to coach yourself for confidence. So I'm actually writing a chapter in a book that'll come out next year, and that's my topic is how to coach yourself for confidence.
And you can find all that on your website, right? LeslieHawker.com.
Yeah, if you put your info in, I'll get that out to you. But yes, and then I'm on Facebook, Leslie Hocker, and on Instagram as Leslie underscore Hocker because I do have Leslie Hocker, my name, but many years ago when Instagram first started, I can't log into it. You gotta love. I have a love hate relationship with social media.
Yeah, well, it's a bit more technology involved as well, right? So it's just one of those things you got to keep up. I mean, I got to keep up with AI now, so that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, I bet AI for investing is pretty interesting.
AI for investing is pretty interesting. It is. It
Yeah,
is.
yeah,
Yes,
I love
absolutely.
it.
That's definitely a conversation for a separate time.
Yes, I
In and out
imagine.
of its own right. Yeah.
Yes,
But hey,
absolutely.
Leslie, thank you again for being here. Really love the insights, and I hope you have a great evening in the great state of Texas. Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate. Thank you, Phil.
Alrighty. You're welcome. You're very welcome. Thank you very much.
Ciao.
Take care. Uh huh.